Napoleon Hill talks about personality. You need a pleasing personality. There's many parts to your personality. One is your working personality. You know, the kind of behavior, the kind of attitude that you need, especially in the public. Some things you can kind of get by with, being a little careless, maybe in private, but in public, where it counts so much in your paycheck, it counts so much in building your business for the future, your own personality. But here's what you also must remember. You develop your personality in private so that it serves you well in the public. Sometimes we get the mistaken idea, I can be careless with just these few and be more careful when I have 1,000. But see, that doesn't work that way. Careless with a few, sure enough, that will creep into your presentation for 1,000 people. Here's the best practice, and the Herbalife opportunity in our marketing systems gives you the best chance to do that. The influence you have one-on-one, that's what really counts. You say, well, I'm only talking to 2 people, it doesn't matter much. That's when it really matters. Because if you'll practice well there, using your personality, using your influence, to get someone's attention, to get them to listen, to get them to participate, the kind of personality that someone says, I'd like to be around this person. They're unusual. They're not like the average person I meet on my everyday experience. That kind of personality. But you've got to practice it behind the scenes. You've got to practice it one-on-one. And if you're effective one-on-one, 1-on-3, 1-on-5, I promise you, that will get you ready to now perform with the kind of personality, the kind of charisma that wins people when you're in front of 500 people, 1,000 people, 5,000. So this is a good point, working on your personality. Here's the best gift you can give someone, and that's the gift of attention. Attention is so powerful. When I was a young man, I met Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest men in America at that time. He's gone now, but he was a unique individual, ran for vice president of the United States. And I had a chance to be where he was holding a press conference. And I got close enough so that when he walked out, I had a chance to step up, right, when security was not all that severe in those days. And I had a chance to put out my hand, shake his hand, and say, Mr. Rockefeller, my name is Jim Rohn. And what I remember most was the attention he gave me. With the lights of the cameras around and everybody all around, he looked right at me and said, Jim Rohn, where are you from? I said, Idaho. He said, I really like Idaho. It's one of my favorite states in all of the country. And for just a few seconds, he gave me his attention, shook my hand. I'll never forget the handshake, right? One of those multi-million-dollar handshakes. But I'll never forget that personal attention he gave me, just for a few seconds. It was powerful. Made an impression on me that's lasted until this day. That's why I remember to tell the story. So, same thing you can learn to do. Utilize your personality, utilize your influence, give people the gift of attention. Here's the rest of my list now as we finish up. Next, Napoleon Hill said a leader needs sympathy and understanding. We have to develop that early in our lives. All of our lives, we have to look at those that are less fortunate than we are. Those who need a helping hand, and especially now we learn to look at those who need an opportunity, those who need a change in their health, those who need a change in their life and in their lifestyle. It's this kind of sympathy and understanding that drove Mark Hughes to construct the company. It took that kind of understanding, that kind of sympathy, that kind of deep emotional feeling. Then Mark understood what it meant to be poor. He understood what it meant not to have. He understood what it meant to be short on finances, on resources. He understood what it meant to lack, a full formal education. He knew all of those lacks. And instead of crying about it, he said, what I will do is change it for myself, and then I'll help other people that have the same challenge. Lack of education, lack of the money, lack of the resources, lack of good health, faced with all kinds of difficulties they can't solve. I'll get mine solved, and then I'll be strong enough and have the skills to where I can help other people. That kind of leadership quality is so powerful. That kind of understanding. Here's the next one. A leader must have, Napoleon said, a mastery of the details. How very true. All can be lost with just a couple of missing details. On the trip to the moon, everything has to work, right? There's several thousand moving parts. There's several thousand pieces to the project of getting to the moon and coming back, and all of them have to work. You can't have 10% of them working, 90% or 80%. They've all got to work. And then there's the backup systems for something if something goes wrong to back it up. That kind of mastery of detail is so vitally important. But here's what else to remember as far as Herbalife is concerned. The drama is in the details. Someone says, you know, I lost 30 pounds. Well, 30 pounds is 30 pounds, but that's not the drama. The drama is, where were you before you found Herbalife? How did you feel? What kind of circumstances? Now someone begins to give us some of the details. And then after they've lost the weight, now how they feel. Now their self-confidence has been restored. Now they feel better about themselves. The drama is in the details. But this is also important in the details of your day, the details of your business, the details of good communication. Master the details. Good advice, Napoleon Hill. Now here's the next three. Willingness to assume full responsibility. All of us have been taught that, especially these Herbalife years, to take full 100% responsibility. Mark Hughes says, what happened to me might not have been my responsibility, but what I do about it is my full responsibility. I've had some people did me wrong. In his first couple of business experiences, he was done wrong. Some people ran off with the money. He was left holding the bag. But he said, that's what happened. And I was not responsible for what happened. But I am responsible for saying to myself, now, what am I going to do about what's happened? If a hailstorm destroys the farmer's crop, he wasn't responsible for that. But his responsibility now begins when the hailstorm is over, when he asks the question of himself, what should I do now? Now that this catastrophe is over, now that the damage is done, now what should I do about it? And a philosophy I've taught all these years, it's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens that determines your future. And this is a major part of it, accepting full responsibility. If you've got an organization, you're conducting meetings, and you're the leader, the responsibility ends with you. Someone else may mess up, make some mistakes, still your responsibility. Some things over which you have no control, understandable. But what you do about it now, how you fix it, the diplomacy you use, the strategy you use, that's the kind of responsibility now that depends on you. Also, you've got to be responsible for your future. Nobody's going to fix it. No one else is going to design it. No one else is going to come along and say, hey, I will make sure it all works well for you. You've got to take all the input, you've got to take all the testimonials, all the teaching, all the training, all the influence, then you've got to have the responsibility of designing your life. You can design a life of prosperity, or you can design a life just to coast and get by. The responsibility belongs to you. Now here's the last two. Next is cooperation. One of the great things we learn in Herbalife is how to cooperate so that we take advantage of each other's ideas, we take advantage of each other's input, we take advantage of each other's enthusiasm, we take advantage of each other's testimonial, and we take advantage of each other's willingness to grow. That kind of cooperation has built Herbalife. In those early days, Mark got the group together. Jerry Shatanovich, Doug Stuntz, the rest, and made some plans to cooperate. Said, no telling what kind of powerful meetings we can have if we work together. No telling how many people we can affect, even right away, if we work together. You do this part, you do this part, I'll do this part, we'll make it work together, and we'll get the ball rolling. There's an ancient phrase that says, if two or three agree, nothing is impossible. If they agree on the same project, if they agree on the same vision, if they agree on how to get there, I'm telling you, nothing is impossible. Nothing can stand in their way. Just two or three. What's exciting about Herbalife is now we have more than two or three. The president's team now is well populated. Even the chairman's club is growing. The millionaire team is awesome in its numbers as well as in its power. And the cooperation between all of us on the tabulator teams, as distributors, home office, support staff, 15th floor, wherever we come from. If we cooperate, there's nothing we can't do. There isn't anyone we can't touch. There is no country we can't finally get to with this incredible story. Cooperation. That's why I'm here, wanting to do my part, HBN, send out some ideas, give you some notes to take, something to think about and ponder, something to talk about with the people that you associate with and are building your business. That kind of cooperation is going to make this a powerful year. It'll get us to the 2 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion. But it'll get us to much more than just those numbers. It'll get us to a place of honor, respect, prestige, influence, feeling good about ourselves for the hard work that we're doing, cooperating with each other. I want to cooperate with you, helping build your business. All of us cooperate with the support system of Herbalife. We're on our way. We will have the billions. We'll have the stories. We'll have the experiences. Now here's the last one. Napoleon Hill said, a major attribute of leadership is vision. Vision is in many parts. One, a vision for your own course to follow. A vision for you, for yourself. A vision for your financial future. A vision for your health. A vision for your wealth. A vision for you to latch onto and make something out of. A vision for your family. Because vision must now lift others as well as ourselves. Guess what our family is counting on? That we'll be able to see things that at first they cannot see. That we'll be able to look further into the future than perhaps they will be able to look. The same is true with your organization, the people that are around you. They're counting on your vision. Perhaps you've been there a little longer than they have. Maybe you've been there a lot longer than they have. And they will look to you to help them see things that they can't see in the beginning. And if you will do that, develop that attribute of leadership, I'm telling you, you'll have such a dramatic effect on your organization, it will be unbelievable. A vision for yourself, a vision for your family, a vision for your organization, a vision for the people that you're close to. The old prophet said, without vision, we die. We perish. Unless we can see into the future, life loses its meaning. Unless we can look further than just where we are at the moment, then we have no reason for faith, no reason for activity. But if we'll develop this skill, beyond any other skill, I'm telling you, it will help us touch people. Because they'll want to be around us. Because we have this look into the future. Not only the short-range vision of what we're going to do this week, this month, this year, but the long-range vision like Mark has, taking us to the 5 billion. You can have a vision that will take your organization into the future and bless everybody with success. It's interesting how people along the way dramatically affect your life. I was reminiscing this morning. I got up early. I'm 25 years old. I'm married. I've been working 6 years. Went to college for a year. I got a little family. And I'm behind on my big mouth promises. Not feeling that good about myself, working hard, trying to make it go, but falling a little behind. Creditors calling once in a while saying, you told us the check was in the mail. I'm embarrassed by all of that. Then the final story, I hear a knock on my door one day, and I go to the door, and there's a little girl about this tall selling Girl Scout cookies. And she gave me the big pitch on Girl Scout cookies. Finest organization in the world. Got these cookies, only $2. Support the Girl Scouts. No problem, I wanted to. And with a big smile, she politely asked me to buy. I did want to buy. Big problem, I didn't have $2 in my pocket. So I thought, I can't tell her that. So I thought, well, next best, I lied to her. And I said, look, I've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies. I've still got plenty in the house that we haven't eaten yet. She said, well, that's wonderful, thank you very much, and she leaves. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. So I promised myself that day it would never happen again. So I started searching for opportunity. So my mama was a great influence on my life. My father, let me give you my father's seminar in 2 sentences. Here it is. Always do more than you get paid for. This is from my father. Always do more than you get paid for, to make an investment in your future. That seminar worked so well with Herbalife. Getting a customer may be fairly easy. Getting someone to buy, getting them to use the product, a little more difficult. You've heard me tell the story. You call Mary, say, Mary, how are you doing? Mary says, I'm not losing weight. You say, that's impossible. She said, I tell you, I'm standing on the scales right now and I'm not losing weight. And you have to say, Mary, the product doesn't work while you're standing on the scales. Or whatever you can think of. She says, no, it's not going to work for me. And you say, Mary, what day is it? She says, it's Friday. And you say, I forgot to tell you, this product works better on the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, people lose weight like crazy. Come on, Mary, use the product. And she finally says, okay, I'll start using the product. That's called the work after the sale. So if you do more than you get paid for, especially in Herbalife, it's the testimonials that drive the business. So do that extra work. The work to sell, yes, but then the work to get somebody to use the product. So my father's advice was good. My mother said study and practice health and nutrition. It's not what happens that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens. Direction determines destination. All you got to do is make a little change in direction to arrive at a brand new destination in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Became a distributor of health and nutrition, age 25, started part-time. Here was my first goal, to earn as much money part-time as I was making on my full-time job. So make this note now for this day's wrapping up information. Here it is, the magic of being part-time. Way back in those early days, if I'd put an ad in the paper and somebody'd call and say, I'm out of a job, what have you got? I'd say, look, get a job and call me. The business I've got works better part-time. Here's why. Part-time, the extra money you earn can greatly change your lifestyle, and a change of lifestyle is a great recruiting tool. So show people the value of part-time. Then my mentor taught me if I started part-time, I could have a great testimonial that went like this. I'm working full-time on my job, and I'm now working part-time on my fortune. It's so exciting to go to work part-time on your fortune. Yes, it's fun to make a little extra money. Yes, change your lifestyle. But I developed a whole new philosophy. That's why within less than 6 months, I was making more money part-time than I was making on my full-time job. Here was my next goal, to make twice as much money part-time as I was making on my full-time job. I reached that in less than 1 year. Now I've got an incredible story. I found this unique opportunity. I'm part-time, but I'm making twice as much money part-time as I'm making on my full-time job. I'm then still reluctant to go full-time because I didn't want to give up this incredible story. Finally, it only made sense to go full-time. And then the skills I learned during that period. I was a distributor for 7 years, finally became an executive of the company, took the product from America to Canada. But those people who walked into my life, from my mother and my father and the little Girl Scout and Mr. Earl Shoaf. And then after I came back from Canada, having made my fortune, moved to Beverly Hills with my family. I'm doing a seminar telling my story one day in Los Angeles, California, and in my audience walks a young man, 19 years old, and his name is Mark Hughes. Now let me tell you the big impact Mark Hughes had on my life. Mark Hughes taught me much more than I taught him. I knew him from age 19 to age 44. It's true, I was his first mentor. I shared with Mark my experience as a health and nutrition distributor, starting at the bottom and going to the top. I shared with him what I thought about this type of marketing, person to person. And I'm sure Mark used some of that when he put the products together, started the company in 1980. So I was a bit of a counselor to Mark Hughes, his first mentor. When he attended my seminar, I started sharing those ideas of personal development. When Mark sat in that first seminar, here's what I shared. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. If you just remain how you are, you'll always have what you've got. But if you're willing to make changes, the next 5 years of your life can be totally different than the last 5. If you don't change, chances are excellent the next 5 will be like the last 5. Those philosophies I shared with Mark. Once in a while in his testimonial, here's what he used to say. Jim Rohn was the first person that gave me the idea that in spite of my background and poor circumstances and lack of education, in spite of all of that, I could make changes and become successful. Jim Rohn was the first person. You can't imagine how that made me feel. Not only all those years, but all these years. The 3 major influences in the life of Mark Hughes. 3 major influences in the life of Mark Hughes. First was health and nutrition. Second, person-to-person marketing. And I told the group on Thursday the incredible numbers that Mark achieved by the time he died 2.5 years ago. Some of the most staggering numbers you will ever hear. The wealth he created for the distributors, what he created for his family, what he created in the industry, what he created for Herbalife as a company. The numbers are absolutely staggering. I've got those numbers. I take them with me everywhere I go. The little paper that I gave those numbers to the group on Thursday. This little piece of paper now is just almost worn out. When Mark died, I asked for these numbers. They're startling. This is why Michael Johnson joined the company. This is why we've got this incredible staff now headed for the future. These numbers Mark created. And if you know somebody that was in the meeting on Thursday, that unique group that qualified for Thursday, if you know somebody that was in that group, and if you treat them with great respect, they will probably share with you these numbers. Then the third major influence in the life of Mark Hughes, I was happy to bring this idea. Here's what it's called, simply personal development. In that first seminar, here's what I shared with Mark. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. You don't have to work on the marketplace, you only have to work on yourself to become more valuable and learn the skills. Let me give you a list of those skills that I learned that you can learn in Herbalife that can change your life. Here they are. Number 1, getting customers. Age 25, I knew how to milk cows, didn't pay very well. Then my life started to change. Health and nutrition. The product I sold was similar to Formula 1, Formula 2, Herbalife. Protein wafers to snack on all day long, help you lose weight. Getting customers. First skill I learned besides milking cows, and it helped to change my life, starting part-time. Next skill I learned, finding good people. You just have to search. If you search, what? You will find. Finding is reserved for the searchers, not for the hopers, not for those who wish, but for those who search. And you've had enough information here already today to go back and increase your skill and ability to search until you find good people. The third skill I learned was how to organize, getting people to work together. If you want to become wealthy, this is one of the most important skills. An ancient scripture says, if 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. Here's what it says. If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. If 2 or 3 agree, the power of just 2 or 3, doesn't need to be 2 or 3,000 to start. Doesn't need to be 2 or 300,000 to start. Just 2 or 3 who agree. It was so exciting for me 19 years ago when Mark said, Jim, travel the world with me. We'll build the finest leadership team in the world. We'll someday influence the health and nutrition industry. And if we do it right, we can positively affect the lives of millions of people. Not 1,000 of us, just 2 or 3 to start. And then 2 or 3 became 2 or 300, and 2 or 300 became 2 or 3,000. And 2 or 3,000 became 2 or 300,000. And 2 or 300,000 became 2 million. And finally we arrive here today. Just 2 or 3 to start. In your community, in your organization, get 2 or 3 and start working together. The next key I learned that changed my life, a unique skill called promotion. Alan Lorenz is probably the best. He knows all the dates and he knows all the meetings. He almost has the world calendar in his head. It's amazing. And he knows the reasons why. If you just do this, you'll reach this level. And if you do this, you'll reach this level. And if you just take 4, you'll do this. Amazing. Learn how to promote. But here's the secret I learned in promotion. Herbalife takes care of the big steps if you'll take care of the little steps. I learned to reward people for small steps of progress. Herbalife takes care of the big steps. Get team, millionaire team, president's team, chairman's club. But if you'll take care of the little steps, learning to recognize, promote, then here's a key that made me millions. Be so busy giving recognition to others, you really don't need it for yourself. Next, the skill that I learned during those formative years of being a distributor, and that's communication. And it's communication in 3 parts. Here's those 3 parts. Number 1, training, showing somebody how the business works. You've had plenty of that already today. But here's the next one, which I'm trying to do a bit of as we finish here today. And that's called teaching. And I've just used 2 words just to separate the 2. Training, showing somebody how the business works. Teaching is showing somebody how life works. When I met my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, he said to me, Mr. Rohn, show me your current list of goals and let's go over them and talk about them. He said, I've been around a long time. I can probably give you some good advice. And I said to him, I don't have a list. He said, Mr. Rohn, if you don't have a current list of your goals, he said, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did. And that got my attention. I said, you mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals? He said, drastically. I said, then I'm ready to learn how to set goals. He taught me, and it changed my life, how to set goals. So I'm asking you not only just to be a trainer, I'm asking you to be a teacher. Teach somebody leadership skills. Teach somebody communication skills. So we need life skills and business skills, and you can learn to do both, even if you're fairly new. Here's the most important on communication, learning to inspire. Helping people see themselves better than they are. Helping people see the future. Helping people see not just with their eyes, but help them to see with their mind, insight. Seeing with your eyes we call sight. Seeing with your imagination we call insight. Helping people to see the vision of the future. That's what Mark brought us when he started the company. And those 20 years he was with us, he helped us to see the future. Next, help people to see the possibilities. Describe to them the potential, what's available. Using testimonials. There's so many testimonials now. People that started with nothing. Sarah Alfaro started with a brochure, now has this huge organization, Mexico and U.S. A brochure. The inspiration of stories, the inspiration of testimonials. It inspired me to spend the rest of my life listening to the testimonials. You know, I've been around Herbalife now 23 years. I'm now looking forward to the next 23. And under personal development, learning the skills, here's what I learned building my own organization. Learn to work with the people who deserve it, not the people who need it. Because that's the way life works. Life doesn't respond to what we need. Life responds to what we deserve. It doesn't say if you need a harvest, you'll get one. It says, no, if you plant in the spring, you'll get a harvest in the fall. Then here's the next key. Show people how to deserve your time. Work with the people who deserve it, but show them how to deserve your time, your attention, your information. Next, something that helped transform my career in health and nutrition? Here it is. You can help 1,000, but you can't carry 3 on your back. Just make that note. You can help 1,000, but you can't carry 3. Well, if you were Anthony Powell, maybe you could carry 2. But I'm telling you, he'd have problems carrying 3. It's so important to get people to be independent as soon as possible. We call them independent distributors, but it seems like at first they're very dependent. And they are dependent on getting proper information, being properly inspired, helping them to set goals. But as quickly as possible, show them what they can do on their own that will start helping to establish them as a true Herbalife independent distributor. It's a great gift that you can give them.